Jabu wonders when his next meal will come. Too long for his lioness to feed him. Overnight, his stealth carried him into the path of a careless zebra. The rest of the herd is still skittish. One animal had already lost his tail to a hungry pride, but for the dazed stallion, it was all over in seconds. The big male watches his kill from a distance, exhausted by the chase, exhilarated by the sport.
Together, put a perimeter fence around it, and then brought in a lot of game. I mean, we brought in elephant, we brought in rhino. We started off with those sort of animals, and then started with cheetah, bringing a cheetah onto the reserve, mainly to get them used to the area before the lions came out, because the lion is a more superior predator as such, and would dominate the cheetahs. We wanted to get them settled first before the lions came in.
dead carcass. But still, there is no feeding. Lions will gloat over their prey, delaying the first bite until the meat ripens. For Jabu, the prospect of the meal is to be relished as much as the eventual feast. Are learning to stalk, but they won't kill for another 6 months. Young male lions are usually ejected from the pride when they are about 2 years old. Fending for themselves, they form hunting groups with other isolated males. The bumbo's cubs are not sure what to do with prey so close, but the lioness isn't far behind. Their time for hunting will come. The bumbo's 4-year-old daughter also lives with the pride. She is the mother of the group's youngest offspring, 7-week twins already in the mouth. The little cubs have been born since birth, and now stay close and protect themselves. Among his siblings. cubs know the drill. They will wait for Namambo's call to take them to the kill. The day moves into shadow. The cubs are restless and a little afraid. Adult lions have few enemies, but cubs, even those 10 months old, are at the mercy of women and other predators. Namambo has reached the kill, but her daughter is there first. Even though females hunt together, rivalry for the prey is fierce. The big lioness begins the trek back for her cubs, but the youngsters have heard her call and they meet halfway. Namambo settles herself in the long grass. The cubs are unfamiliar with her behavior. A female will usually head the charge with any kill, splitting the hide of the victim and leading the way for the pride to eat. But there is human scent around the giraffe. The big lioness is cautious. She watches her cubs, hidden, alert to any potential threat. The cubs are curious, confused by this new smell. The lioness moves in for a final check, but she has already made up her mind. The carcass is tainted. There are foreign traces and dangerous ambience. Instinct tells her this is not food fit for her cubs. Disappointed, Namambo moves away. The scent of another night storm already in the wind. After 2 days, Jabu has returned to his kill with another young bird. 3-year-old Timmy is a son from a previous liaison with Namambo, and the two paired up after Timmy was ousted from the pride. Pride males are lazy and will gladly let the females track down prey. The theory that birds run hunt is a fallacy. Any hungry male will hunt for himself, and no free lunch is provided by the lioness, hyenas, or other predators. Small creatures scatter in the vicinity of the two lines. There will be no hunting for a while. Alerted after the zebra kill, both males will sleep for the next day, oblivious of their surroundings. Incidents involving humans are rare in southern Africa's game reserves. Our primal fear of being eaten has been well documented. But in fact, lions seldom attack if they're not provoked. At Pindar, great care is taken to limit the number of people viewing game. Emphasis is placed on causing the animal as little stress as possible.
Land isn't a part of their natural food source. They don't normally go out and hunt people. I think the lions are opportunists. Like I said, I think that if the lion is hungry and under stress, I don't think unless you go out to hunt you down, if you interfere with them or something, kill you, there's a good chance they might eat you at the same time.
Lion now roam their habitat again, alongside some traditional neighbours. Rogers helped round up Pindar's first pride, handling the lion's capture and subsequent move south. Today, he's head vet at the Hoedspruit Research and Breeding Centre for Endangered Species, overseeing its cheetah breeding program. But it's the discovery of what's believed to be a long extinct strain of lion that has put Peter's centre on the map.
We were involved in the rescue of these circus animals that came down through Africa and were abandoned in Maputo. We were just founded by an animal welfare group called Animal Defenders based in London, and they said, you know, could we just keep these animals temporary? First they mentioned tigers, and then they came back and said,
20 minutes before the anesthetic takes effect.
what to do. It's a very topical and heated subject at the moment.
Nkosi approaches the kill cautiously. Sometimes the lioness will turn on the carcass, but today I was pleased with her efforts. Jabu rejoins the pride. He has missed out on the kill, but he didn't share his zebra with the rest of the pride the previous day. A half-hearted attempt at mating, but the big lion's attention is drawn to a curious onlooker. With the pride so close, the giraffe won't be sitting for long. fights can occur between the pride male and the intruder. If a takeover is successful, the new male will usually kill all the suckling young of his former rival. Vultures have found the dead buck, but there is little left of the carcass. November and her pride have eaten. The big lioness tries to dislodge Inyala fur from her teeth. Tomorrow, the next day, there will be another kill. November's cubs will grow up strong. The lion is the greatest of all predators, the essence of all that is Africa. And yet, there are fewer than 50,000 left in the wild. The future for the species lies in managed reserves such as Phinda. Here in Zululand, the lion roams free for the first time since the beginning of this century. At Phinda, the philosophy has always been simple. Africa's wildlife land, undervalued and underutilized, is the continent's most precious natural resource. Focusing on the animals, their habitat and local communities is just the beginning of an African renaissance. Phinda is, after all, the Zulu word for return. Maybe too, it's a chance for man to redeem himself just a little.
Hallelujah.